G'day guys, welcome to Ally on Herbs with Ally Sanchez. I'm your host Peter Montgomery from the petermontgomeryshow.com. Ally is a practicing traditional herbalist working out of her clinic in Glenbrook, which is in the Blue Mountains just outside of Sydney. And Ally's very passionate about educating the general public on the benefits and the uses of the common herbs, the ones you either have in your garden or that you can easily get from the shops right now. So Ally, what have you got for us this week?
Hi Pete. Today I chose a herb that is notorious for taking over people's gardens, so it's very easy to grow, and that's peppermint. Peppermint is a very uplifting herb. It really does help to lift the spirits. Traditionally, it's got a long history of just a refreshing herb. Peppermint, I use both as a from the herb and also the essential oil in an aromatherapy capacity. And I know for myself, many years ago when I worked in a health retreat, I was very heavily pregnant with my first child, and I used to do a lot of aromatherapy massages. And I'd get so tired, towards the end of this pregnancy. And I used to keep a bottle of the peppermint essential oil nearby, and I'd just have a sniff of that every few minutes just to kind of wake me up, and I could keep going doing what I did. And again, in that way, it's good for like studying. Anyone who's doing a lot of study can get very tired. So just to keep the essential oil on a burner or just on a tissue just helps to wake you up and give you that burst of energy. And talking with the essential oil still, and in a similar way, peppermint is wonderful to clear the sinuses. I've used it on a tissue, like for little babies who don't know how to blow their nose. You can just hold the tissue near them, particularly when they're feeding. Like if you're breastfeeding, you can have the tissue either in the bra opposite to the breast you're feeding, or if they've got a bottle, just to have that nearby. And forcing them to breathe in the peppermint oil helps to decongest the nose, and you can actually hear the nasal passage clear as they breathe the oil in. So essential oil of peppermint, wonderful, and the herb too is just as wonderful, even more so.
How can people actually use the herb itself?
Okay, the herb is wonderful. We just use the leaf, the peppermint leaf. Now, for sinus and decongestion, I do use peppermint in any of my sinus mixes. But what peppermint is probably most famous for, if when you have a meal at a restaurant, they often give you the after dinner mint. Well, that comes from a traditional history of offering peppermint to be eaten after a meal because it helps with digestion. Peppermint helps to relax the what we call the visceral muscles, or the smooth muscles, particularly around the digestive tract. So any sort of spasm in the digestive system, it'll help to settle that down. Peppermint also it increases our digestive juices and our bile too. So it just helps the body to to break down a meal. Peppermint's wonderful. Like, say you have heaps of people over and you've fed them all, and everyone's lying around the lounge, really feeling really full. Perfect time to offer peppermint tea. So make up your infusions, which we've spoken about before, just about a tablespoon of fresh herb per cup of water. If you make it a big teapot, you might want to leave that for about 20 minutes or so. Offer that to your guests, and you'll see how quickly they recover from that beautiful meal that they're all sitting around trying to break down. I do use peppermint in the clinic. If I'm treating anyone who's got like an irritable bowel syndrome, or even ulcerative colitis or diverticulitis, any of those really kind of nasty digestive disease states or conditions, peppermint tea is always part of what I'll prescribe. And people, get wonderful results adding that in. They'll be taking their herbal mixture or their blends, but just to have that peppermint tea, which is something that, they can take a tea bag with them to work or whatever, and any time that they're feeling any pain or discomfort in the digestive system, then they can just make themselves up a tea. Because peppermint oil peppermint the herb has a like an analgesic effect on the digestive system. So it does help with pain as well, which some of these kind of chronic conditions, there's pain associated with them. So so it works wonderful in that way too.
Okay, so Ally, is there anyone that should be careful when they're using peppermint? Is there any kind of side effects that certain people, maybe shouldn't take it?
Peppermint is a pretty safe herb, but all these herbs, they are medicine, so we shouldn't take them too lightly. Peppermint has been known to reduce breast milk, so if you're breastfeeding, it's probably best to stay away from your peppermint. Maybe you can use something like ginger or something like that for if you do have digestive problems. There is some people talk about epilepsy. If you have epilepsy, to be careful of using peppermint long term. I just personally suspect maybe this has to do with this slightly stimulative effect. And if you do have epilepsy, then, you want to err on the side of caution for that. But basically, if you're a bit sinus congested, you have digestive problems and you're feeling a bit down and flat, well then peppermint's your answer. Peppermint, add it to, like I said, in teas, smoothies, juices, in your meals, anything like that. Peppermint's the herb for you.
Okay, thanks so much, Ally. I look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks, Pete. I'll see you next week.